Hello and welcome back to 7 Days of Legs. Today is day 4, and before we get moving, I want to bust a very popular myth. And that is that being flexible simply means being flexible. And yeah, of course, being flexible is indeed part of flexibility, but there are other contributing factors. 2 big ones being 1, strength, and 2, strategy. Honestly, I feel like flexibility and chess have a lot more in common than people might think. So, for example, in something like a back bend, when we have all this back bending and flexibility going on, what we really have isn't back flexibility, it's front body flexibility. It's everything in here, whereas all the muscles in the back are actually strategically activating and pulling you deeper and safely into that range of motion. Similarly, with our splits, when we have our front leg forward, we have a lot of flexibility happening in the front leg and also in these hip flexors and the quads in the back. But we also have a lot of muscles in our hips that are strategically working to push, pull, all that good stuff, our body into that range of flexibility safely. In the last couple days, we've done some exercises that have helped us get acquainted with those muscle groups. We've kind of felt where they are, what they feel like when they're activated, all that good stuff. But now we're going to do a couple exercises to actually build those muscles and make them stronger, because strength is a big part of flexibility. Let's get to it. To start with this one, I'm going to use something like this. It's an elastic loop. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with these guys. They are inexpensive. You can get them online if you are, for whatever global pandemic reason, a little hesitant to go out into the world. But if you don't have something like this and you just want something now, you can make it up. So what I have done for that is I've just taken like a sash and just tied a loop on it. Boom, loop, ta-da! You could also do something like this with a necktie, really just any kind of ribbon-y type thing, you can make a loop. Since I have this, I'm going to use it, but this is an option. It does indeed work. I've tested it. So, let's start. So aside from our loop, be it our elastic one or the one that we've made, the next thing we need for this exercise is a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a box or a book. Feel free to get creative if you need to. But I'm going to take this and place it like so. So we want it to be standing tall with the rectangular side facing out. So we'll put that here. I'm going to angle myself a bit so you can see better. Next thing we're going to do is take our loop and put it around our ankles. We're going to scoot our ankles a little farther apart just to get some tension in the band. And then we're going to take our hands on the yoga block and place it in line with one of our feet. I'm going to place it in line with my right foot, and then the other foot is going to point out to the side. So we go from our ankles being right beside each other, weight all the way over into one foot, the one that's in line with the block, and then point the other toe. For this whole exercise, really want you to think about as much weight coming down into this leg, the one in line with the block, as much as possible. This block is here as a stability challenge. We want to put as little weight into it as possible. That's going to make all your stabilizing muscles work really hard. This foot is going to stay pointed the entire time, and you're just going to drag your toe as we do this. So we're going to keep it over here in line with the ankle, and now it's going to come all the way back here, lots of tension in the band, in line with the block in the standing foot. Back to its beginning pose. And then in line. Beginning and in line. And again, the entire time I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep the tension in the band as steady as possible and just dragging the toe. I'm not going totally flat foot, keeping this leg super straight. Ooh, got wobbly. I'm also not trying to go totally off the ground either. That's just a little bananas. But if we are doing this properly, then what we're going to feel is this side butt muscle in the standing leg right here is going to be working really hard. It's a really great workout to get these butt muscles super strong. And these muscles are awesome. With our splits, for example, they're really a big part in making sure that our hips can be pushed and pulled properly into that nice square position. And then if you're doing any standing postures, those muscles are really great for stability. So you're gonna do, I'd say like 10 on each side, maybe like 15 if you're feeling like Hercules today. But yeah, I'd say 10 if you feel like doing it, 5 if you want to take it easy. Just make sure you do both sides and enjoy. This next exercise that we're going to do is also for our butt muscles, but rather than targeting these side butt muscles, we're going to get into these back butt muscles. Turns out there are a lot of muscles in your butt and we just want to love them all. So we're going to begin on all fours in a bit of a tabletop type position. This whole exercise too, I want you to think about trying to keep your hip bones as square to the ground as possible and keep yourself from arching too much. Think about hip bones and maybe even a little bit of that core engagement. We're going to take one leg up behind us. Think about that as like a 90-degree angle if you can. Flex your foot. And then, you know how people do that thing that's a little obnoxious, but they're like, what, raise the roof. We're going to do that with our feet. So again, tabletop, 90-degree angle, flex foot, and keeping all of this engaged, we're then just going to try to raise the roof. So you don't have to hold this terribly long, just try and keep it as controlled as possible. If you can raise the roof 10 to 15 times on each side, then I will be a happy camper. Make sure you do both sides. And then prepare for your splits. See you in a minute. It's everybody's favorite time. It's time for splits. Pew, 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 pew. I warned you about the finger guns, okay? So when you're ready, we're going to begin our splits. Grab your yoga blocks, everything you need. And I think I had mentioned yesterday too about starting on your bad side. I highly recommend it. I find that if I start on my bad side, pretty quickly my bad side ends up becoming much closer to my good side, and sometimes it becomes my good side. So start with your bad side. When you're ready, come into that low lunge position. The entire time we're coming down, we're thinking about all these butt muscles engaging, keeping our body square. And go. Check your back leg. Make sure it's at a nice angle, your foot's not sickling. Coming down through that front sitting bone. Core engagement. Check your shoulders. Keep those back muscles super engaged. Back butt muscles, that is. Check your core. Make sure your little laser beams are pointing forward from your hip bones. If you feel like going for it, try lifting your hands. Do another round of checks. Weight through that front sitting bone. Back butt muscles engaged. Tuck the core. Point your toe. Point your toe! And that is our minute. Whew. Let's get out of that. Shake it off. Dance around. Shoot some finger guns. And then when you're ready, prepare for the other side. I almost forgot which side I was doing. All right, starting up in your low lunge, engaging those muscles and lower. Keep those muscles engaged all the way down. Tuck the core, check your shoulders, weight through the front sitting bone. Double check your back leg, make sure it's not doing something totally silly. Back butt muscles, keep them working. If you're semi feeling up for the challenge, you could try lifting just one arm. core. Check your weight. Make sure it's coming down where you want it to, through that front sitting bone. Laser beams pointed forward. And that's our minute. Woo! All right. Shake it off. Have a sip of water. Give yourself a high five. You're awesome. And we'll see you tomorrow.